Hi there, Nigel Saunders here of KW Bonsai. Today we're going to be working on my hibiscus tree, doing some pruning. The tree's grown quite well over the winter. You can see the large leaves that have developed. As I've said with clip and grow bonsai, it's just as important to let the tree grow as it is to clip it. These branches have grown enough, they have at least 6 leaves on them, so that's enough length to get the tree vigorous and we can clip it back. The type of pruning I'm doing today is often called maintenance pruning, and I don't like that term because that implies you're keeping the tree, maintaining it to a certain size or shape. And the type of pruning I'm doing today is not pruning to keep the tree to size and shape, it's pruning for ramification. Every time I prune the branch, it divides from 1 into 2 branches. A true type of maintenance pruning would be one where you're hard pruning the tree back to keep the tree to a certain size or shape. So today we're doing pruning for ramification. I'll give the tree a 360-degree spin so you can see where the tree's at. Now back to the front. Out the front of the tree I have a branch that's coming straight towards the viewer. And I've always left it on. I've tried subdividing it and I'm just not liking it. I think I'm going to remove it totally. So that'll be the first step today, is to get rid of that branch that I just don't like here. So here I go. I'll come in with my branch cutters. We'll just get a nice cut there. These could also be planted as cuttings. They root quite easily. The next step is I'm going to prune all the new branches down to the first pair of leaves, or one that gives me a good branch direction. So I'll do directional pruning. So I'll prune just before a leaf that's facing the direction I want my new branch to grow. You can see a small dormant bud here that could potentially grow into a new branch. If I cut the tree off just above it, that would activate that bud and it would grow a new branch. And it may also grow a branch out from the leaf behind it too. I'm going to start pruning now. Here I go. I'm leaving at least 2 leaves on from the new growth. I've pruned the tree for ramification, so now I'm stepping back and looking at the tree, and I'm looking at it for artistic reasons, to shape the tree into a tree-like form. So I notice the branch on this side, on the right-hand side here, it's getting quite long. There's some leaves further back that I could prune to, reducing the branch, so I'm going to do that. I don't want the canopy to get too wide on this tree yet. So let's start with that. I'll prune that branch. So I'm going to clip it back right to here. This branch on the left hand side is also getting a little wide, so I'm going to prune it back to here. And there's a back branch here also that I'm going to prune back to here. The last operation I'm going to do to this tree today is just to clean up some of the pruning points from some of the past years. So where we clipped a branch off and left a bit of a stub sticking out, I'm going to prune those back now just to clean up the structure a bit. Here's a branch that has a large stub sticking off the end that I'll just prune back nice and flush now. There we go. Here's another scar out back where a major branch was pruned off. So I'm going to clean that up also. There's a nice big cut there. A little more at the bottom here. It's a large cut, but I think it'll heal over nicely. There's a shot of the hibiscus tree, all pruned up and ready to go for spring. It's time now for today's update. Today's update is my pink pixie Bougainvillea bonsai. In the last video we did a little bit of maintenance pruning, and it's grown rather well since then. I had the tree placed with the sun coming in the window on this side to try and fill out this side of the tree, and it's doing that really nicely. It's got lots of new growth on this side. I'm going to change it around so the sun's coming in on this side today, so we get a little more new growth on this side of the tree. The roots have been growing like crazy in this tree. Out of the drainage holes here, they're just growing like crazy, which is a good thing. So I'm going to have to trim those off. And there's a lot of roots growing along the surface of the soil too, and down the trunk of the tree. Here's some of those little surface roots that come out of the trunk of the tree and grow down into the ground, or into the soil. And these little roots add a lot of interesting detail to the root base. It really gives it a miniature look. Here's the scar where that root got pruned off last time. It's healing over nicely, and it's going to blend in really well someday. I'm going to start by pruning off these roots today. I want the roots growing in the pot, not out of the pot. My next step will be pruning off this long moss back down to size so it's not sticking up so far. When moss gets too long, it loses its miniature appearance. It starts to look like a field of wheat or something. So we want it to look like grass or small plants growing at the base of the tree. We don't want it to look like it's in the middle of a wheat field. It also covers up the root base. This tree was repotted last summer in July, and I think I'll probably repot it again this summer. I think the roots have grown so well that it could use another prune. I'm going to remove all this moss off the surface of the trunk. And again, you don't want moss in your trunk because it keeps it moist and you don't get that nice bark texture. It'll kind of rot away your bark. It won't kill the tree, but it'll rot the bark and you won't get the nice, crackled bark texture on your root base. So you want a consistent texture from the roots right up the trunk. So yeah, I've let this grow a little too long, so I'm going to prune it off now, or pick it off. I'll just come in with the tweezers and pick it off. You see there's another little aerial root that's grown there. A lot of people ask me, how do I grow moss indoors? And my answer is, when the conditions are right, you won't be able to stop moss growing indoors. When it's humid and you have lots of light, the moss just grows. I'll give you a shot of the root base, 360 degrees. Back into the shadows. I have a branch out front here that's growing really vigorously, so I want to knock that back, and I want to prune to an outward facing leaf that's going in a nice direction, so I'll prune it right back to here. Last time I pruned this tree, I planted all the cuttings and they all survived. They were greenwood cuttings like these. Here's the pot of pink pixie cuttings. So all I did was I removed the lower leaves, like that, and I just stuck it in the soil. So I'll do the same with this branch. I try and stick it down about that far into the soil. Just give it a watering to settle it in. Keep them misted, and it should grow. That's all for the update on the pink pixie Bougainvillea bonsai. Like I said, I'll be turning it around this way now on the bench so it gets sun on this side to help fill out this side of the tree. It's time now to go to a new segment, Viewers Picks. If you have an interesting tree you're working on, send in some photos and a description of what kind of tree it is, what you envision for your tree, your first name, and your location in the world. And I'll feature it on an upcoming YouTube video. Today's pictures are from Royd Berga, and he's sending pictures of his tiger bark ficus and 2 of his junipers. I've been getting a lot of questions lately on ginseng ficus, and I thought I'd show you one that I've started this winter. My brother gave me this plant. It was probably 2 or 3 feet tall. It had long roots that went down into the pot about this deep. So I just cut them all off at the surface of the soil here, or just slightly below the surface here. And I cut the top off the tree, pruned it down to short branches, and planted it. And it's regrown new roots, and it's started to grow all kinds of branches out the top. And this is the start of a really nice ficus tree. My ficus microcarpa started out the exact same way. The difference between these 2 trees is about 17 years and a lot of care and dedication to creating a bonsai out of plant material. That's all for today. So Nigel Saunders of KW Bonsai. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.